Hey, this is Rebecca, and you are listening to Resilience with Rebecca, a place where we come together and have real conversations with real people about real life. Sometimes we talk about the messy middle, but we always talk about getting back up. Now, my husband and I went away for a couple of days last week, and we ended up in the LA area, and we were looking for something to do, and we decided to head down to one of the beaches along the highway. And we traveled around for a little while until we came to a spot that looked really nice. And we got out of the car and headed down toward the beach. And we had walked along the sand for a little while. And we came upon this formation of rocks that were sitting there. And we decided to sit down and just enjoy watching the waves come in from the beach. And we were sitting there just chatting a little bit, mostly just sitting in silence watching the water lap up to the shore, and the little kids on the beach kind of playing in the waves. And we happened to look down and notice there were some little crabs in the water, running along the rocks that we were sitting on, that were actually the ones that were actually underwater. They were actually sitting on those and or running along them, and we saw little tiny ones. We watched them for a while, and at one point we happened to see a rather large one came out and ran across the thing. So it was pretty exciting for us to kind of watch that and see them going about their daily crab life. And it was fun and enjoyable to watch. But we noticed when we got kind of a little closer trying to watch and see what they were doing, that these crabs would sense danger, and so they would run and hide. And so we couldn't always watch them because they'd slip between the cracks in the rock where we couldn't see them, or we couldn't see them well. And it was kind of interesting to watch because they would just be running along, going about regular life, and all at once they would get startled or scared or see a shadow, or maybe we splashed the water, and they would run into these cracks. And it almost looked like they were running away. And it was a view of resilience that kind of made me think, like, resilience sometimes looks like we're running away from something, that we're hiding from something, or we're backing away from something, but we're not actually quitting. Sometimes we have to take a season and we have to protect ourselves. We have to surround ourselves with things that keep us safe in those rougher moments. We have to surround ourselves with support people, and we have to surround ourselves with I always say surround yourself with kindness if at all possible, but we sometimes have to kind of pull back from what our normal is in order to give ourselves a chance to not give up and not quit, but to keep from quitting, to protect ourselves in the midst of these difficult seasons. And watching these crabs, sometimes it looked like they were quitting, they were giving up on wherever they were going to hide in this crack. But no, they weren't. They were just protecting themselves for that season, just until the danger maybe stepped away. And it really got me thinking about how we do that to ourselves. We protect ourselves until maybe the danger doesn't hurt quite so bad, or maybe we're willing to take a step back out again. Maybe we're willing to test the waters. Resilience is often like learning when to move and when to stop. Sometimes we beat ourselves up. I know I do. I beat myself up because I'm not doing all the things that I should be doing. I'm not doing all the things that I know to do. I'm not doing all the things that a strong woman can do. But in those wounded seasons, in those challenging seasons, sometimes we just have to wait. Sometimes that's the hardest part of resilience, is just waiting and watching and listening until it's okay to move again, until it's okay to okay, life was headed this way, something came along, knocked me completely off track, and it's okay to maybe let that road shift a little to the right or to the left, and take a little bit different path than we planned. And it was like these crabs, they're running straight along these rocks, and all at once they sense a danger, and suddenly they veered to the left and ran down the crack. And it's okay for us to sometimes hide in the cracks and wait and watch and listen until we're ready to move forward again. And I love that. It gave me so much freedom to actually click that in my brain with what I was watching with my eyes with these crabs. And the interesting thing about the crabs going into these cracks of the rock is I don't know what they were doing in there. I don't know if they were just sitting and waiting, but maybe they were just growing and building and getting stronger. They were in the season of their life where we don't always see when somebody's going through a difficult time and they pull back and we don't see behind the scenes. We always see the pretty pictures on Facebook and on, Instagram and so forth. We see all the pretty, but we don't always see the building and the time it took to build ourselves to that place where we can get back up again and be the impact we want, be the change we want. Sometimes there's no applause when you're in the cracks, just healing, waiting, watching, learning, listening. There's no applause there. And sometimes it makes you think, what am I doing wrong? But, like these crabs, you weren't doing anything wrong. You were just allowing yourself a chance to stop, heal, renew, rejuvenate, whatever the word you want to use is, because sometimes it's healing's not all about how fast we move forward and how quickly we make these life changes that we're wanting to do or how quickly we bounce back. Sometimes healing is about just being able to get ready to poke your head back out. Healing is about allowing yourself the courage to take that one tiny step to move forward again. And I love the analogy of those crabs, and I love the lesson they taught me that day, that it's okay sometimes to stop, look, and listen. Sometimes it's okay to just be in those moments of growth and healing until we decide we're strong enough to step back out. We're strong enough to get back out there and step forward again. It's okay to be in those moments where you don't feel strong. It's okay to be in those moments where you don't feel ready. Just don't stay there. Just don't stay there. I look forward to talking to you again about resilience, my favorite topic ever, at least lately. And I will see you soon again, my friends.